I study. The researcher's metaphors are my own as a researcher metaphors. I will get back to this and explain in more detail later. A metaphor could be used also as a variable or in terms of seeing as. Remember that I said that it's only the overlapping area which is the actual metaphor. But if you see something as if it were, if we studied the school as if it were paradise, then we see everything in school as paradise. We try to see, okay, let's explore what if we saw everything as paradise. The students would be angels, the teacher would be I don't know what, etc., etc. Then the overlap is total, you could say. And this means you see as you use the metaphor as a lens to see everything in school in terms of paradise. But a metaphor could alternatively be used as a variable to see certain parts of school. We can understand certain parts of school in terms of paradise. Other parts we can understand as terror. Other parts we can understand as something else. And then you cover up the whole school. You can understand all aspects of the school with different metaphors. And this is called to use metaphors in terms of variables. I have tried to draw here a piece of a cake, which is another metaphor, by the way. Each metaphor sheds light on one specific aspect of the school. Alive and dead metaphors, I mentioned this earlier. And it is that, if I, for instance, say that this school has to develop, we have to take a step forward. Okay, now we have developed and taken a step forward in the literal sense. When we often use this expression, take a step forward, we don't see it as a metaphor. It has also become literal in a sense. That was what originally a live metaphor, which we all saw, yeah, this is a metaphorical expression. The meaning, the definition of the concept of taking a step has got another meaning. It also means now to develop. So in a way, it's difficult to say which metaphor. I mean, some things to take a step ahead. It's in a way metaphorical, but in a way it's also literal because the concept in itself has got a new meaning. But what we divide between is then alive and dead metaphors. Dead metaphors are those who we for long has accepted as literal language. Take a step forward, for instance. Or education as enlightenment would probably also be some kind of a dead metaphor, because enlightenment, or we became illuminated, it has become, it was from the beginning metaphors. We used knowledge from one area to understand something that we didn't really know so much about. So it was an alive metaphor, but it has become a dead metaphor. Another example might be education as a journey. Perhaps that is between dead and alive. And a metaphor which I think is an alive metaphor is education as an alive. That would most people say that no, this is not a literal expression. So therefore it's an alive metaphor. Also, metaphorical expressions and root metaphors. There is a difference between saying, for instance, yes, she was a dolphin in the water. This could have been written, you could have read this in a novel, for instance. This is a metaphorical expression to make the language more interesting. A root metaphor is more like a root, which is of course also a metaphor, a root for our understanding. Most business people, for instance, they use the organism metaphor as a root for their understanding of business and organizations. Yes, our company is still alive. It's not alive. In the literal sense, it's not alive. Yes, we want to survive. We need more blood in our company, new blood in our company. All metaphors, all those metaphorical expressions, you could go down to one root metaphor. And an example of a metaphorical expression is the one that I used before. The teacher was a dictator in the classroom. And root metaphors could be, for instance, school as a machine, school as an organism, or school as a political system, for instance. Yes, and these are the 5 ways I am going to take up. 5 different ways you could use metaphors in research as well as in education. And I will try to let you practice a little bit on at least some of them. The first one, listen to others' non-intentional metaphors, is that if you interview a person, you can listen to her or his expressions. That the person, for instance, says, yes, we need more blood in our company, our company has to survive, we are still alive, etc., etc. If you interview people and try to get an understanding of what is it that they are saying, what is underneath what they are saying, which is their common belief of their organization, for instance. These metaphors are often, but not always, unintentional. It's something that our language is full of. Automatically we use metaphors. But you could use them to uncover people's deeper understandings of their organization, for instance, or of their school. And in this case, the metaphors, it's the metaphors of the field. We listen to which metaphors people use, and they are pretty much, but not always, relatively dead metaphors, because people are not aware of them. And an example would be that we need some fresh blood in this school. The people doesn't know that he or she talks about hospitals, but things that she is talking about to get newcomers into the organization. And these pictures, this is supposed to be a researcher. Can you see that? This is supposed to be a researcher. And this is supposed to be a student. And in this case,